Hi, Jim Guerrera here on SCN Insights. I'm very pleased to have with me today a senior executive in supply chain and logistics, John Begg. John, how are you today?
I'm very good, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, listen, you've had a tremendous career, and I wanted to see if you could give our viewers just a quick overview on some of your experiences in supply chain.
Sure. Like many in my industry, I came up from a third party, learned the business there. Then I moved over to the customer side after about a decade. And then I started moving up as far as scope and responsibility from regional to North America to global enterprises. The company I'm at now has about a $500 million budget, and we do all things logistics on a worldwide basis.
That's pretty impressive. What are some of the trends that you've seen in the supply chain space over the past 5, 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, I can tell you the biggest thing has been IT. It has been end-to-end visibility, where you literally know where your components are at any individual time. Even taking it as far as what's on the ocean and where it is it meeting schedule or not? That really allows you to drive down inventory to the bare minimum. So that's been a huge component in driving costs out throughout the industry. I would say another one would be, and perhaps we can go into more detail about it later, is the use of big data analytics to isolate trends and opportunities within the supply chain. And there's even been what we call a inference of co-opetition, where you're actually working in the same space with someone who is a competitor, yet doing so gives you a competitive advantage overall in the industry.
Very interesting. Let's talk about big data, since you mentioned that. What can you speak to in terms of big data?
Well, I can tell you this, Jim, is that data is only as good as what you feed into it. So if it's robust and strong going in, you'll get robust, usable, strong data coming out. If it's garbage in, it'll be garbage out, and it will not give you the trends and the where the opportunity lies within the supply chain. So it's one of these things. It's a buyer beware, the caveat emptor rule. If you're going to invest in these software and this information, make sure it's something with a strong reputation in the industry, or you're simply, in the end, not be optimizing what is possible, and you'll be leaving money on the table.
Who's responsible for putting the data in for analysis?
It really depends. A lot of it is based upon forecast and schedule. So a lot of it is us. And it's based upon what we plan and what we are preparing our plants to manufacture and then ship out to the customer. A lot of it's done on sales, but it's the firm up. How strong is your firm up? Are you batting, 8 for 10? If you're doing that, you're going to have a very, very strong supply chain. If you're anything under 6, you're going to have a lot of fat within the system.
So how do you manage the people to make sure that they're entering the right information? That seems to me like that would be the big challenge.
It is, and it's actually a double-edged sword, because once you train these team members to be masters of this data, it's very important that you, I would say, give them long-term viability within the company, so they don't take that tribal knowledge and move on, leaving a big gap that you have to fill. But there's also training. All right, you don't skimp on this. This is something where it's an investment up front. You train the people properly, and then you take I would say task of how they're performing for the first 90 days to ensure that everything is copacetic, and after that you let them run with it. Everyone, myself included, is on a review basis and a quarterly review. So after that, it's up to the supervisor to ensure that they are meeting their tasks and goals.
Are there particular CRMs that you think are better than others in terms of gathering big data?
I'm always, I'm always one where, you know, how complete is the data? All right. What kind of a picture are we painting here? Are there fields missing? Are there things on our end that we've put a Band-Aid on rather than getting to the crux of the issue, which is keeping us from having streamlined, robust data that can be utilized to drive cost out. And again, it comes down to this: is that you want something that allows you to get tangible results. So if you run a few tests like we do, and in the end, what you've mapped out doesn't match what reality is, there's your gap. And those are the things that you have to drill down and find a way to bridge.
John, we're getting to our end of our allotted time. Anything you could tell me about the future takeaway in terms of where the industry is going in terms of managing supply chain?
Yeah. Well, we're global, Jim. You got to be global. Yeah, I mentioned, perhaps I didn't mention, but one of my astute mentors told me is that you think globally, but you execute locally. Mm-hmm. So you can take the lessons learned on a global basis, but then you have to tweak them and customize them for implementation on a regional level. But usually that bears some pretty good savings fruit.
Good deal. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're welcome.